welcome back, everybody. It is your host, Jay Klein, and we are back for another hot session of anime talks. And on this episode, we will be having Hell's Paradise step up to the plate and cover some pretty cool things. This is more, not really much of a review, but kind of just like an overall, just like a standpoint of how the development has led up until the end of it, because technically it's not over yet, and I currently don't have any access to any manga for it right now, or I'd catch up and do some reading on it, just because it's just that like far in depth. But without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so Hell's Paradise, we're actually following the intertwining story between two different characters in the show. We have a guy, Gabimaru, and we have Sagiri. So it's so good. It's so good. We have Gabimaru, who's a shinobi that is very much so like he's like a war machine. He's a trained, very, very heavily trained, like just a manslaughter, just like a horrible villain kind of. And the reason I say kind of is because it's all subjective, and we learn a lot of things over the course of the show, of how his development changes as the show goes on. And this is full of spoilers, so please, if you're going to end up watching this, or if you would like to just kind of listen and just catch it and then see it for yourself later, continue listening. But at this point, this will be heavy on the spoilers. I'm not going to cover too many different things in the show, only because the character plot alone is like really good, and it changes throughout the show, and it's worth noting the difference and the interaction between everybody, even though it's like a short season. Well, I'll just say it's a short season, only because we only have 13 episodes animated thus far. So it's really good to say that these 13 episodes, they definitely put that factor in for good character development, good story plots, and of course they did great with the awesome let's compare that to Game of Thrones, where like they just like kill off so many people at one time, and they ramp up getting to the points of where everybody else would matter, so to speak. But back to the story, we have our main guy, Gabimaru, get caught up within getting captured. You would really think that he let himself get captured with how much of like a killing machine he is, but he's on death row, and he's due to be executed, and he comes from a very, very, very dangerous shinobi, or village of shinobi, and he is very much so an interesting character. He follows his chief's orders to like a T. He's very loyal to the chief, and even though his chief is the reason he was set up and was captured and due for execution, and he is actually married to the chief's daughter, which changes crazy throughout the show. The show changes and takes a crazy, like, interesting twist. But then we have Sagiri, who is the Yamada Asamon swordswoman, who is the executioner of Gabimaru. But here's the crazy twist. There is a chance to be pardoned of their crime, as long as they get to this island that has a very interesting um, spell of problems within itself, and to go get the elixir of life. And this place is actually called, it's actually just called Paradise. And they have a very interesting change of things that come about where the people that have gone either have not made it back, or they return back as almost inhabitants of a parasite that makes flowers and stuff bloom off of them. It is very, it's interesting, very, very, it piques the interest of what's to come. And while they're choosing who goes to go on this island, the shogunate issues out pretty much a free for all where everybody kind of like gets into it and fights and kills to the point to where there's enough people to go to the island. And that was like the first part of where we kind of like realized how much Gabimaru really isn't into killing. It's just part of his nature. If he kills because he has to kill, not because he wants to kill. And you start to see that he's not really as sadistic as the stories give off. And he tries to move away from violence if possible, which is kind of crazy due to the nature of his moniker, or what his name has meant, and the reputation behind it across that area for the show. He has a very, 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 very strong stigma behind his name, and it almost means that you're going to get like completely ripped apart basically as soon as you get up toe to toe with this man. But they end up giving us like a little small cast to deal with once we move over to the departing to go to the island. We're met with so many different death row criminals. We end up having Yuzuriha Azachobe. We have Tamaya got Tetsua, and then we have Nurugai, and then we have Rokuroda. And things are quite crazy. Like crazy. Like, and when they reach the island, we notice a lot of things change. And as far as the cast goes, we have the Yamada Asamon as well. And I would go through the names, but there's a lot of stuff that happens throughout the show. We have a lot that die, and that's between both sides of both death row criminals and Yamada Asamon. A lot of them were killed during this whole situation. And what's we learn a lot throughout the show, but to get down to like the nitty gritty, I should say, we end up having like a lot of different things that take place once they hit the island, where they see a bunch of different like beings and stuff, and like a bunch of different insects, a bunch of mutated type of entities that are there that are able to like basically end your life to an extent, whether that causes the blossoming of the flowers and almost killing you from the inside. And then you also have these almost chimera type beast where like it's half it's crazy. It's crazy. It's wild. But nonetheless, we end up having some crazy stuff that pops off within the show. And of course that gets me to have to like put out a few more of the cast, but the cast is really the main cast is only Gabi and Sagi. Sagi, to touch back on her before we get further, she kind of goes through like I hate to use that term, but almost kind of like a feminist side of things, where she does not want to assume the normal role that a woman would have in her clan. She does not want to just sit around and bear children. She wants to go out and be able to be an executioner and be a very excellent swordswoman. And she is awesome. I love her standpoint, and it's not about supporting or not supporting feminism. It is just the fact of being able to be the best you can be and to follow your dreams. And she does such an excellent job. You could tell she's scared at the beginning, dealing with Gabimaru, where she kind of goes toe to toe with him a little bit, and then he kind of like lets a wild side out, and he is still nervous that she can keep up with him to a certain extent. And her skills, her sword play is awesome. And later on, there is another little thing that they both learn together to be able to either one necessarily learn, and the other one actually controls it better, because technically he already had it. And we are met with a lot of things with Sagi. Sagi goes through a lot of different changes over time throughout the show. We see her childhood, where she's being bullied and teased and basically told she needs to stay in the kitchen, basically. And she develops from that, and it's like one, if not one, she is the top executioner in the show as far as skill goes. She is like undoubtedly just the best there is, and the animation, it just goes further than what I can say in this podcast. Definitely watch it. She's awesome. And the interaction between her and Gabimaru is almost like they're polar opposites that were like meant to be together. And you see a lot of different things and a lot of different a lot of stuff change between them two. Like they both carry this harsh coldness. Gabimaru kind of slacks off because he's just trying to find this elixir and get back home and see his wife. And she starts off as just like, follow the rules. You need to do this. A good example is part of the rule was they had to stay hand tied. Their wrists must be tied together. And throughout a couple fights, when they first made it on the island, she made him adhere that he had to keep the bondage on, which was pretty interesting. Now how he like took out a few enemies with being bonded, and it was pretty funny because she's like, no, you're gonna follow this rule, and he's like, are you kidding me? Like the other guys are not letting theirs, and she's just like, I don't care what they're doing. Do exactly what I was instructed to have you do, or I'll just cut your head off. And it's very, it has its comic relief within these kind of situations, and it's very enjoyable. But moving forward, we do have a lot of other connections between them two, and that is, one is Gabimaru holds on to his sins and embraces them, while you have Sagi it is so hard for her to just grasp the like being able to embrace the sin and move with killing. And that is what she realizes throughout the course of the show, that they're the same. Their goals are the same, or they're just alike, but just in two different. They're in the same building with different views, pretty much. They're looking out of two different windows, but they're on the same floor. So it's one of those kind of situations, and it plays out so well. It's the story is crafted out well when it comes out between their interaction, and then later we're moving towards the end, I should say. Like we're like more towards episode 13 and getting further throughout. We learn a lot of different things as well that most of this stuff was almost man-made and created by a different, or there's a mastermind that's controlling all this. And then we run into godlike beings that are pretty much unstoppable unless they're like slashed around the navel. And they are like Titan-like beings. They're crazy. And I'm telling you, this is crazy how they do this and how they slip this into different things. But the fact that they were able to manifest and come up with these characters that can morph, and depending on where they stand or how or their powers based off of their gender, which is pretty cool, because these are actually, I guess you can call them non-binary beings, like, or godlike beings, because they are both male and female, which is pretty wild, but it's pretty cool, the concept. Like, when they're in their soft form, where they can still tear you up, they're females, but they morph into males when they're like triggered and ready to like do stuff. And then they have a tertiary stage where they go into like this crazy like transformation. You see this like around episode 7, 8-ish. I could be wrong, where we do see the transformation that almost takes the life of a couple of our death row criminals. And Gabimaru and Sagi, their group comes across a lot of different things. They end up meeting one of the Tensen, who, and by the way, the Tensen are these godlike beings, and they pretty much control the island. And you have this runaway Tensen, her name is May, who ends up siding with, and she has a different way of she's just different. May is actually only female, and she has like almost like a demon slayer thing with Nezuko. She goes from being a child, and whenever she develops and becomes even heightened, she matures. Her body develops and goes into like a hyper form, and it's pretty cool. I really like how they did that, and I would definitely say that with their way of handling that, it was just great. But we've seen a lot of development that happened a little bit later in the story, when we get to see the Tensen go through different changes as far as their vulnerabilities coming out. And we still don't know the origin of the Tensen. They're like almost kind of like these anomalies that kind of just like existed before time kind of thing. And is really, really, really in depth. And there's so many different twists that come from it. You're almost able to adapt and get power from them as well, because we've seen where we have one of the Yamada, they had fell in one of the pit of flowers, and they were down there long enough to actually be placed with almost kind of like a curse mark, but it started to brew within one of the executionees, one of the death row captives. He is like crazy strong now, and like it's almost like tough to kill this man. And him and his brother, it's kind of crazy on how all that's going on. You're trapped with so many different ideas and a lot of different what may happen, what's going on here and there, that you're just it's a lot going on within the story. And even though it's a simple story, but there's just a lot going on. Like, we also do have the other shinobi bring up a very interesting plot twist towards the end of the season, and that plot twist is like what really drives me to really get involved with wanting to watch the next portion. And that towards the end, we also have the Tensen. They get together and they're talking about what's going to happen with these humans that have came about. They're actually pretty like nervous because these humans are like a different breed almost, like, and it's all these really high top tier like just Gabimaru. That's all kind of we really even have to say. But along the lines, we do learn that the Tensen they have this ability, or like they're able to see. It's a weird way to word it, but there's this a different type of ability, so to speak. Like you're able to what is it? It's this ability called Tau, and you're able to kind of like read the body. It's like almost kind of like Goku being Ultra Instinct. It's I know that's crazy to even compare that, but when you have it's a little deal called Tau that allows you to be like one in tune, to be able like to be the yin and the yang, being one, being weak yet strong, and being like almost being the complete balance, like almost like achieving an equilibrium with the body to be able to handle a lot of different things. And one of those situations, I'd have to say, with all that is, this is the thing I was like foreshadowing later on, or foreshadowed early in this segment, where the Tau was already something that Gabi already had access to. He just didn't control it. Well, Sagi actually learned to get in tune with it, and then we also had one of the Yamada, the blind one. He's like so freaking awesome. We end up losing his student. He's the blind mentor. He's very, 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 very like up there, and he was able to put the Tau to get in tune and be able to reach that to begin with. Like he kind of found that out as soon as he made landing on the island, and then went from there, and it was able to explain that. So moving forward, we end up seeing a lot of different things coming about with that part developing, going into the later parts. Once the Tensen have found out that they are able to master Tau and learn it and master it so quickly, that is the problem that's rising for them. And once we get towards the end, there's still the part that a lot of people are not, that I think that's the most important part. Like we're like getting off the island, finding out there is no elixir of life, like sort of, like that within itself is very crazy. And I'd have to say we're missing the one more element that is brought to our attention. Gabimaru has later on in that season, he gets into a nasty fight and gets rendered unconscious. Well, when he comes to, his memory is like returning back to him. And with his memory returning back to him, he's being able to how to say it. He's able to make it to where he's starting to have fuzzy memories, and things are not seeming to be what they really are. And things get crazy. Once we start seeing that, things are getting crazy. We don't know what's really happening. And for the most part, what we're missing is like the ultimate, like when I mean the ultimate, saying the ultimate, like, it's just like crazy. But we're missing the ultimate shebang within all that. And the ultimate shebang that I have to add that we just can't pass up here is we are met with the shinobi that is traveling alongside them. She brings up something really crazy about the village, and that village, that chief that is over Gabimaru, she doesn't recall him having a daughter. So what we are faced with at the end of the show, or the end of this season, is we're not really sure if Gabimaru even had a wife. Like that is currently what we're met with, and it's very invigorating, because you're like, this whole show, you're going off of the fact that this man is being tarnished pretty much, like just going toe to toe with just about everything. And out of nowhere, he may or may not have had a wife this whole time. He probably was. It's crazy. It's scary, because this whole time we expected so much, and we've seen all the flashbacks, and we see all these same flashbacks happening all over again, but this time without the wife there. And that is what really creates the psychological thriller behind this show. You know, we see these kind of things all the time where we have like the craziness of the Tensen, and the fact that they can change between male and female and all that stuff. All that stuff's great. But what you can't get from is the story is built on this man getting the elixir of life, getting the pardon, and returning back to his wife, who we are now having doubts of any existence. Of any existence. And that within itself makes this show what it is. And it's such an awesome thing that they took. That approach is different. I like it. I really can't go any further than just to explain like how awesome that is. It changes it up a bit. It makes it to where you're just seeing so much stuff there. You know, like I really enjoy it. I like it. And I swear, if you took the time to give it a watch, and then on top of that, it's I say older. It's not really older. It came out, when did it have its debut? I'm pretty sure, the anime, started up in, January of 2018. And, for the not the anime, the manga run is January of 2018 to January 2021. But the series, as far as being the animation of it, we seen the likes of it currently starting in April of 2023. So, you know, with that being said, like there's a lot of things within it that like I really like it. It's great. I just don't know where to go with explaining on how much the show's great. I love it. I wish that we had more. You know, like I wish I needed to go do some more research on it, because the awesome thing is we are not we're not lost within the factor of there. You know, there's so much going on there. You know, I doubt that this show would just not see any love. You know, like I feel that this will get renewed. Like I said, I don't have official information as of recording of this podcast, but I will say this is an epic piece of work here that you can't miss out on. Is definitely I would hate to like, you know, be like almost any other anime enthusiast and say weird stuff along the lines of, oh man, just best anime I've seen, or it's incredible to where you just can't miss it. It's a really good anime that you need to watch if you have the time to watch it. Give it a look. It's worth every last bit of your time. I would not recommend anything crazy that isn't worth your time. Give this show a watch. I'm pretty sure this was one of those animes that a lot of people did go take the time to watch. So I do not think that this is one of those ones that you would just pass up on and just be like, all right, this just isn't it for me. So I do recommend give it a good look, give it a good watch. It's worth every last of the 13 episodes that are out currently, and hopefully by the time you're checking out this podcast, you're able to watch the second season, and hopefully it's not currently running, because like the worst thing to do is watch something that you're like madly addicted to, and you're like, you're on a time crunch. Who wants to do that crap? Nobody wants to do that. Like, I don't even want to do that. That's crazy talk to me. You couldn't pay me to want to watch an anime that's currently running, because the week to week crunch is crazy. And then like it's only like what when do we get them? Like Sunday like 4 p.m. Like it's like that's bad to me no matter how you cut the cake due to my work schedule. But you have to give it a look, people. Don't pass this anime up. You will regret it if you don't give it, like, just go watch it. Like, I would not steer you wrong. It's worth it. I love this anime. Fell in love with it, and I'm telling you, you'll adore it. It's amazing. Like, I'm telling you, it's amazing. You'll love every bit of it. But until then, thank y'all so much for listening. For one listening and being very much so attentive and being there throughout this journey of making these podcasts. I've tried my best to stay on top of making them and being around to make them. That's another issue I'm kind of having, is finding the time to watch these and get them done in a timely fashion. Our next one, I'll just go ahead and give the next segment. The next segment, it will be on, I love that. I love this so much. King of Thorns. Go watch that, but we'll cover that in the next episode. So until then, thank y'all so much. If you have any questions, concerns, new topics, anime suggestions, send it to me. You can either find me on Facebook, Jordan Klein. You can catch me, jklein1993 on TikTok. You can catch me at jklein2011 on Instagram. I think so. jklein1993 on X. I'm pretty sure you can just catch it. If you find me on one, you can find all the others. And if you do personally know me, shoot me a text or give me a call. It's however that you're able to get any of the messages to me, so I know what I can either do better, what I can bring to the table, and any other things that you would like to know or hear about, because I watch a bunch of anime, so I'm always learning and getting in tune with something else. So feel free to give me my next topic or give me something to get entangled within. But until next time, y'all, please be safe.